Hello, my name's McElroy and I've been asked to provide an overview of the measures in place and the challenges facing the government in Scotland in terms of delivering against its climate change target of net zero emissions by 2045, with a focus on housing refurbishment. Scotland's Climate Change Act of 2019 sets targets to reduce Scotland's greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2045. With interim targets including a 75% reduction by 2030. Achieving this will be extremely challenging. In the next few years, for example, we'll have to find a way of decarbonising not only the energy we use to heat our buildings, but also for transport and other uses. In other words, we'll have to move away completely from fossil fuels like gas, oil and coal for heating, replacing these with alternatives such as electricity from renewables. Now, you may also have heard a lot of talk recently about hydrogen to replace gas, but there are issues with that, including the fact that we would need to produce this hydrogen, which is expensive. However, there are a number of pilot projects looking at this, and the gas network operators are lobbying the UK government hard on this, so it's a matter of watching this space. Today, however, we're focusing on buildings and homes in particular. Why? Because heat accounts for 50% of Scotland's energy use and most of us use gas to heat our homes. Scotland has over 2.5 million homes and around 20% of these were built before 1919, so we also have a lot of old buildings to deal with. Currently, the heating of Scotland's homes accounts for 15% of Scotland's total emissions, and 75% of the energy that we use in our homes is used for heating. So if we want to reach a net zero target by 2045, we'll need to reduce our energy consumption and tackle the fact that many of our homes are extremely poorly insulated. It's estimated that at least 1 million of our homes need to be upgraded with energy saving measures, and 2 million will require new heating to meet these new targets. This will also mean upgrading over 100,000 homes per year between now and 2045. In 2018, Scottish Government introduced something called the Energy Efficient Scotland Route Map and a fuel poverty bill, with the aim of reducing greenhouse gas emissions through more energy efficient buildings and decarbonising our heat supply, and at the same time removing poor energy efficiency in homes as a driver of fuel poverty, with the aim of having no more than 5% of homes in fuel poverty by 2040. People in fuel poverty are defined as households who spend more than 10% of household income after their housing costs on fuel to heat their homes. And those who spend over 20% are regarded as being in extreme fuel poverty. The most recent Scottish House Condition Survey reported that almost 25% of our households in Scotland are in fuel poverty, with over 50% of these families, that's over 300,000 households, living in extreme fuel poverty. With more people likely to be working from home as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a concern that these figures could rise as people will have to heat their homes for longer during the day. To tackle all of this, Scottish Government is investing heavily in energy efficiency, while also moving us towards low carbon and renewable heat. Doing both at the same time will help to move more people out of poverty by improving their homes, reducing the amount of energy needed to heat their homes, and by making heating more affordable. Currently, the way in which the performance of our homes is calculated is based on what's called an Energy Performance Certificate, or EPC. And this is a measure that was actually designed to allow all homes to be compared on a level playing field. It takes no account of where you live or, to some extent, how your energy is produced. It was really designed to assess new homes, but has gradually been expanded to do a lot more, including being used in the home report produced when you buy or sell a house. Unfortunately, it's used across the UK as a standard, and so we have to use it for now, although it's not ideal. But Scottish Government is looking at how to make it work better for now, and is basing most of its targets on achieving higher and better EPCs. The government's route map is designed so that not all homes have to meet the standards at the same time, to give homeowners and private landlords a chance to catch up with the social rented sector, which is generally in better condition. There are various funding mechanisms in place to support this, including loans of up to almost £40,000 for owner-occupiers, funding through various schemes run by local authorities for private sector households and targeted at hard-to-heat homes, elderly people, people with health conditions and people in fuel poverty. There's also recently been announced that there will be up to £4.5 million available over the next 6 months in a cashback scheme for households, and this will provide 75% cashback for zero emissions heating and 40% for domestic energy efficiency measures, up to a maximum of £13,500 per home. Social landlords are funded through various interest-free loans, and in the case of local authorities, through targeted capital direct from Scottish Government. Currently, the Energy Efficient Scotland budget is sitting at around £135 million per year, but in order to achieve the government's goals, this will have to be doubled. Where that will come from is not yet clear. But there are definitely going to be challenges to achieving the targets. For example, we replace our homes at only 1 to 2% per year, so this means that 80% of the homes we'll be living in 2045 are already here. Scotland's housing stock is also very varied, and since the sale of council housing in the 1980s, it's difficult to take a blanket approach to retrofitting homes, as terraced houses and blocks of flats are often multi-tenure, with some being rented and some owned. Not all of the worst performing homes are in the rented sector, with approximately 61% of our homes being owner occupied, and 15% are privately rented and 23% socially rented. So while it's not difficult to design for retrofit in theory, in reality there are many things to consider. For example, retrofit can't be done on a one-size-fits-all basis. The effectiveness of simple measures like cavity wall insulation might vary from the exposed west coast to the drier east coast due to driving wind and rain, for example. On the other hand, it's not just about insulation and sealing up drafts, as by making homes too airtight, we can have negative effects on air quality, due, for example, to high levels of CO2. So a well-insulated home needs the occupants to manage how the systems operate, even if that's just remembering to open windows. Some low-carbon systems are expensive to install and less controllable than gas boilers, so what suits people who are at home all day might not suit people who are out all day, and some of the systems are difficult to get to grips with. And in rural locations, the options might be limited, and in urban situations, people may be used to the flexibility of gas. And all of these things will affect how things work in practice compared with predictions. However, if we take what's known as a whole house approach, the risks are reduced. By looking at heating, ventilation and insulation together, we can come up with user-friendly, tailored solutions. Apart from the social benefits, this would deliver carbon saving of 2.3 tonnes of CO2 per annum and save poor households an average of £250 a year. It's also estimated that it could result in savings to the NHS of between £31 and £52 million per year due to reduced hospital admissions. Improving our homes also presents huge opportunities with regard to a just transition to a green recovery. It's estimated that there are already 13,500 people employed in the low energy and energy efficiency sectors, and that there's potential to create 1,200 jobs for every £100 million invested. Initial investment is sitting at around £1.6 billion, which is equivalent to over 19,000 new sustainable jobs. Thank you.